Hey everybody, hope you had a great weekend. We are going to dive right in today to the introduction to the DOM. Sorry, I get kind of excited. I hope you are as excited as I am. So we're going to learn about what the DOM is, where it is, what it is, how do we access it? Is it a bear? Do you have to fist fight it? What is it? Let's dive right in. Okay, so an introduction to the DOM. Whoops, got a little ahead of myself. So what is the DOM? Well, for starters, that stands for Document Object Model. And it is basically a an object-oriented representation of your web page. So for example, let's say you hack together a quick little web page. All the structure, all the HTML tags, all the content, all the classes, everything that is within that HTML document will get rolled up into the DOM. And so whenever the browser loads up and whenever it renders your page, you get the visual representation of all of your code. And like I said, it represents all the page structure and all of the content. So the way I like to think about it is a tree with lots of branches and lots of leaves and, depending on what kind of tree it is, maybe some acorns. And so within the DOM, all of your HTML text and your elements, those are considered nodes. And to me, I like to think of those nodes as like leaves on the branches on the tree. Okay, so we start with the document at the top, and then we have an HTML tag underneath that, and then it just branches out. And the longer your document gets, the more complex that your HTML gets with all the content and all the structure, the more nodes that the DOM will have and will have to render. So, and then we can access those nodes and manipulate them via JavaScript. And we'll get into that in just a minute. So the way I like to look at it is a picture, because I'm a visual learner, so maybe this picture will help you. So we start up here with the document, and that is the all-encompassing parent. And you might hear people throw around some terms, that's the parent node, that's the child node, this is the grandchild node. And what you need to take away from that is that there is a familial relationship between all of the nodes within the DOM. Okay, so this HTML element here is the child of the document, right? And this head element is the parent of this title element. Okay, and so depending on how your page is structured with semantic HTML, you will have varying degrees of parents and children, and then we have what I like to call sibling rivalry. So like this head element and this body element, even though they're in the same document and they are both the same they're both children of the same parent, they are siblings. So they're related within that DOM. So like I said, you'll hear people throw around those terms. Just know that it means that they're related somehow. And like I said, when I was learning the DOM, I printed something like this out and I had it sitting by my desk. I would make notes, I would write on it, I would circle it, I would highlight things, and it helped me have a physical, visual representation of what the DOM is. Okay, so let's move on. Where is the DOM? Do you have to go to outer space? Is it on another planet? No, it's located in the browser, and no matter what browser you use, every one of them has a DOM, and they implement the DOM differently. So that's why you'll get some differences in how your content is rendered in Firefox versus how it's rendered in Safari versus how it's rendered in Internet Explorer. And so different browsers have different ideas on how it should be implemented. And we're not here to debate who's right, who's wrong, who's better, who's worse at it. But you just need to know that each browser does have an implementation of the DOM. So no matter if you're looking at it in Internet Explorer or in Edge or in Samsung's browser, you can access that DOM. And how do we do that? Well, there are different methods. So we can access it with, like I said, methods. And those are functions that are attached to the DOM, right? Because the DOM is just an object. And so objects have methods and they have properties, okay? And so methods, the way I think about it is they're functions that help me perform some sort of action, okay? And then properties are values that are waiting to be manipulated, such as text content, okay? So let's dig into some examples, and that'll help solidify some of the knowledge. So here we've got a basic HTML document. This is nothing special, it's just some boilerplate. And again, we have the HTML parent, which is the child of the document. So this is the parent. All of these that fall underneath are children, also nodes within the DOM. So let's say we want to make a child of this body tag here, and we want it to be, let's say we're going to have a title, right? So we'll throw an H1 tag in here, and we'll say this is the title, okay? So once we save this and it renders in the browser, we have just created a node, okay? A DOM node. So we can create all number of parent nodes, of children nodes. There's no limit. Okay, so how do we access that node that we just created? Well, there's two simple ways that I'm going to show you today. One is via an ID tag. So we'll throw this ID on here, and we'll call it the title. Okay, and then we'll give that a save, and then we're going to throw a script tag in here. Now, for the purposes of this demonstration, we're just going to throw our script tag in here. Obviously, if this was a production site, we'd have some separations of concern. So let's do const title equals. Okay, so remember I said that the document is just an object, okay? And so we can access all its methods with dot notation. So we start with document because we're going to be calling a method of the document. So document.get element by ID. Okay, so get element by ID is by far one of the most popular methods that you'll be using for DOM manipulation. There are countless methods that you'll eventually run into, but this is by far one of the bread and butter that you can use almost on a daily basis. So the way we access this H1 tag with this title here, or with this ID of title, is we just throw its ID right in here. So we'll say title, okay? And then we'll give that a console log title. Give that a save, swap over here, and we'll give this a reload. All right, now look, we have selected this H1, okay, which is right here. Right, it's the child of our body tag. Okay, so we've selected this title, and then we console logged it. Okay, so we've accessed this with a method. Okay, so let's say we want to add a paragraph tag here, and we're going to have quite a few paragraph tags. So, oops, wrong spot. So we're going to give it a class as well of, let's say, content. Oops. Class equals content. Okay, this is a paragraph. Okay, so we've created another child of the body tag with our H1 tag, or our paragraph tag, and so we're going to select that a different way. And this is another very popular way of selecting DOM nodes, and this one is called query selector. Okay, so paragraph. Now again, we're going to say, right, document, because we're accessing an object, document.query selector, okay? And the difference between query selector and get element by ID is query selector takes a string that is equal to any valid CSS selector, okay? So any way that you can select something in CSS, you can also use that here. Okay, so that means periods for classes and hashtags for IDs, and you can go as far as to even select actual elements. So you could put UL in here and it would select any of the unordered lists on the page. But for right now, since we have a class on our paragraph, we're going to hit a period, and we're going to say content. Okay, And then let's console log our content. I can't spell. Okay, give that a save. Let's give it a refresh. Okay, and we selected our paragraph here, or we created our paragraph here, and then we also selected it with our query selector.content, right? And this is the class that we threw in there. Okay, so let's say we want to change that content that's here with paragraph. Okay, so remember, this is the node, and then this would be the value within that node. Okay, this is a paragraph. Okay, so we want to change that. All right, so we'll just get rid of these consoles, and then we'll say paragraph dot inner HTML is equal to this just got updated. Okay, so then we'll update this. Boom, this just got updated. So what we did was we selected our paragraph with a method, okay, and then we updated its value with another method which is inner HTML, and all that does is change the wording inside or in between the tags, the opening and the closing paragraph tags. So I hope you kind of see the relationship between nodes and siblings, and how we can use methods to update or change or manipulate values within the DOM. Hope y'all learned a lot. Have a great day. We'll speak soon.